I've generated over 1,300 designs and mockups with a single plugin. I did this all within 10 minutes. So in this video, I want to show you guys exactly how I did this and how you can also implement this for free as long as you have Photoshop. You can be able to generate designs like this when you have one mockup and as many designs you want, or if you have a ton of mockups with one design, it doesn't matter. Even this grid style mockup, and it goes outside of t-shirts. I'm even going to show you how to do stickers like a pile like this, and even other products that's not in a square if you need a different shape like a phone case. So with this plugin, I was able to do the same exact mockup with several designs, and it makes the process so easy. So let's get right into it. This stuff and me helping you is absolutely free. So the best trade-off that you can do if you want to support me is simply subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to try to grow it this year. I'll start by showing you how I did my t-shirt mockups. You're going to need Photoshop for this and a plugin that was designed by JJ Mack. He passed away a while ago and he left this plugin for all of us to use for free, so shout out to him and his family. You can find this plugin ready to download in the description of this video. Go ahead and download this folder. It has everything that you're gonna need for the plugins and even these holder folders for you to use in your Photoshop file. In order to download them, I don't have a Mac, but here are the steps. You open your application, you go to Photoshop, you go to your Photoshop's folder, presets, and scripts. You copy and paste in the scripts that you get from the folder that I give you. It should be mockups and PCT preferences. You go ahead and paste that into the scripts folder, and then from there you should be able to approve that as an admin, and once you restart Photoshop you have that good to go. And for PC, you do the same exact thing. So let's do that together since I do have PC. You're gonna go ahead and simply, once you have your scripts, you just go ahead and copy them. So Control C, and then you go ahead to your C drive or wherever you have your Adobe installed. For most of us, it's going to be our C drive. You go to Program Files, you go to Adobe, you find your latest Photoshop. For me, at this current point in time, is 2025. And this plugin will not work if you have anything below, I believe, 2022. So you go ahead to 2025, you go to your presets folder, you go to your scripts, and then you simply paste it in here. I already have it, so I'm not going to paste it, but you paste both those scripts in here, restart Photoshop, and you should be good to go. And so what this folder consists of, an export folder where all of your final images are going to be in. You have your mockups folder, which is going to be the Photoshop files that the plugin is going to utilize. It's all your mockups. Each mockup that you have is going to be its own Photoshop file. Then we have our objects folder, which this is your actual designs that the plugin is going to pull from. And then the scripts and miscellaneous folder is what the scripts are. And you'll see some extra objects in there, maybe like an SVG or something that you could just bring in as a smart object. But it's all in there, and it's just an assets folder for you to use. So the next thing that you're going to do is go ahead and find the mockups that you want to use. So this is an unlimited experience where you can generate as many mockups as you want, as long as we set it up correctly, and then as many designs as you want. So for the sake of this video, we're going to go ahead and open Photoshop, and you're going to press open and open up your mockups as JPEGs or PNGs. I'm going to go ahead and open all of them that we're going to be testing today. What we're going to do is create a smart object. I'm going to just go ahead and take my rectangle tool, and if I left click and hold shift, I'll make it a perfect square. So this is one way to do it. I'm going to go ahead and move that square, and this is simply going to be a placeholder for the t-shirt. Okay, so let's say I have the placeholder right here, and I'm just going to press the check mark to press OK on the top. And so with this, I open my layers tab, and in order to make this a smart object for your plugin to be able to edit, I'm just going to go ahead and right click this triangle and scroll down, convert to smart object, and boom. What a smart object is, it's an embedded layer so as to not damage whatever working files inside of it. And for this plugin, it's pulling from that smart object in order for you to edit it, and the smart object has to be on the top for this to work. So if I double click this, you're gonna see it opens another Photoshop file with just a smart object. This is it, it has my square. So the plugin is gonna go ahead and edit the square with the design we want. It's gonna replace it. So this is exactly what we want to do. So yeah, in terms of placing your design, this is totally up to you if you want to make it smaller or bigger. This is best practice, kind of place it right a little under the neck and not too close to the sides. Like, you don't want it to completely cover the whole thing, but you know, you want it a large enough size for people to see it. So now that we have our object, if we want, we can go ahead and name our layer just to be consistent. Let's call it mask. And technically we're done. If you want to edit your images, you can using Photoshop. We do have this Photoshop here, because if the design appears right over this wrinkle of the shirt, for example, it's not going to look too good. So what we can do is, right now this layer is locked, as you can see the locked icon. We can unlock it and we can just go ahead and patch it. So I'm using the patch tool here. The hotkey is J. I can go ahead and just select this, and you see, so I have a selection. If I hold Alt and then unmask that, then I'll get less of it, which is what I'm looking for. Yeah, I kind of only want the wrinkle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drag that, and now it just blended it. It blended that out. So now whatever the design is on, it should be fine. I could keep patching if I want to. Like, I could patch this. So now that we have this, we're just gonna save it as a Photoshop file. We're gonna go ahead and save it into our mockups folder. Save it as what you want. So for the sake of this, we're gonna call it yellow shirt test. So now we saved our yellow shirt as our first mockup. So let's just go ahead and test to see that this works. I'm actually going to just exit out of everything here. Okay, so now that we exited out, let's grab our designs and put them in the correct folder, so that way we can have the plugin plug in the designs into that mockup. This object folder is where we want our designs. So let's go grab our designs. So here are all my designs that we're just going to test out. We're just going to grab all of them all at once. We're just going to paste them in just like that. So because 1x1s or square images, 1080s by 1080s, these are just the easiest to work with. So that's what I'm showing you for now. So all the designs are in a 1x1 ratio, 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels. And the mockups, the smart objects that we place, is also 1080 by 1080. So it's going to go ahead and fit the design inside of that mockup. So here's how we set it up in Photoshop. So we're gonna go File, and once you install the scripts, you're gonna go ahead and see this scripts option, and you're gonna see this mockup option. So you're gonna go ahead, File, Scripts, Mockups, and it's gonna bring up this menu, and it's very simple. You usually have to just set this up once, and then you're good to go. And there's just gonna be a few settings that you're just gonna have to remember. So the first one is asking you, what mockups are we pulling from? Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and hit browse and select the destination of where your mockups are. And if you go to your folder, let me make this large so you guys can see. If you go to the original folder I gave you, you're just gonna go ahead and select inside of your mockups folder and press OK. Next, it's gonna ask you, where's the parent folder? Where's the objects folder that we're pulling from? Where are the designs? So you're gonna go ahead and click the parent folder. You're not gonna click inside the object folder. You're just gonna click the folder that I gave you. So Automation Mockups. You're gonna go ahead and click that and select that folder. And then your output folder, where are you gonna export these to? These could be anywhere, but again, for convenience, I gave you an export folder. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and click into that export folder and select. Once you have those, these settings are saved, and you can always change them, but you don't have to worry about them again. The only thing you have to worry about are the next options, which is going to be Edit Smart Object, Rotate for Best Fit, Fit Images, Save to PSD. You're just going to go ahead and click Edit Smart Object and Fit Image. And what this does is the plugin is going to go ahead and and edit the smart objects like how we mentioned earlier in the video, and it's going to go ahead and fit and scale your design to each of the smart objects in your Photoshop files. If you wanted to save the Photoshop file, then you can go ahead and click this, or if you wanted to rotate it, I haven't really messed with that much because I designed them myself and then rotate it. So yeah, so once you hit create, it's going to tell you something. Sometimes, right, we run into these issues where it's like, oh, folder missing, what is this plugin, what's happening? So once that happens, the mockup stops. So let's see what happened. I totally forgot I have a different Photoshop file that didn't work in here. So let me take that out. I'm gonna just put it in my archive. So now that we only have in the mockups folder, we only have our yellow shirt, and then we only have our designs. Let's try that plugin again. Okay, so edit smart object, fit image. We already have our settings that we want. We're gonna go ahead and create mockups. So what did we do wrong? Oh, this was it. See, so I selected the OBJ folder by accident. So again, we're not supposed to select that. We select the parent folder and press OK. So I hit create mockups and just watch the magic work. And you're gonna see it's kind of glitching for a bit, right? But just let your Photoshop just do its thing. And here we go, we're generating all of our mockups. And you could kind of see a little preview that all the designs are going onto the t-shirt, and you're seeing how it works. You could do this at an unlimited amount of times as long as your computer can handle it. And here we go, we get this little pop-up in the middle of the screen. It says that 11 mockups were processed for one mockup template, and it took 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and preview those. So if we go to our exports folder where they landed, there we go. We have all of our cool mockups in here. And we seen this cat and lion one and the carousel one and the phone case one because I just showed you that before. But you see on these yellow shirts, they're all here, right? I have a black one, a white one. We got our pencil, we got our little designs. So they're all here and they were done within minutes. So let me show you how to do this for other kind of styles. This is a mockup where we're gonna rotate it. This one has flowers in the way, so how do we design this with flowers in mind or any objects? And the same thing with this, we have a lifestyle image where she has hair in the way, so how do we edit that? Let's do that right now. So first, the rotation. Again, we're gonna go ahead and select our shape. I just held shift and dragged it to make a perfect square because all of our designs are square. But again, if you had a different size design, you just do the size of that design. You can just click the shape tool, and if you just left click anywhere, you can select the size of your design. So let's say if it was a long one, 1080 by 1920 or something, then it'll go ahead and make that. It's too large, but there you go. So then you can scale it down. So if that was your design shape, you would just do that. So I'm just gonna delete that. And so now we have our square. And again, we just call this mask. Okay. And so if I wanted to, I could also have brought the same one from my yellow design. So actually, let's just do that. Okay. So actually, I already have my mask here and it's sized perfectly and everything. So I'm just actually going to copy this from this file. And this is my typical workflow. I just copy it and paste it. So that way it's the same size and everything. Now we need to just rotate it because the mockup's on the side. So if I Control T, I can transform it, or Command T if you're on Mac. And I'm just gonna rotate it by dragging the outer edge of the handle like this. And I can make it bigger. Yeah, something like that, right? Again, for you in real life, you want to size this so it's as close to possible and perfection as you can get it. There we go. Okay, that looks good. So I think that's good. So we're gonna go ahead and save that. Again, we're gonna put that in our mockups folder. So mockups, so we have our yellow shirt. Now we're gonna have our black shirt rotated and save that as a Photoshop file. So that's that. And again, we're just gonna paste the one that we have already because why do extra work? This is all about speed. And we need to make this bigger, right? Maybe maybe we don't actually. Maybe it could be this small. But what if we don't want to cover the flowers? Let's try a quick selection tool, and you could use any one of these up here, magic wand and all that stuff, to select this. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do this quick selection tool to see if I could get the outer edges of the flowers, and it seems to be working. Yeah, it seems to be working really well. And it seems like I can get the flower here pretty nicely. If I hold Alt, I'll subtract selections, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna subtract these. Yeah, just like that. Cool. Yeah, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but you just want to get a good portion of it where it's sellable. That's the goal, right? You wanted to make it sellable. Yeah, so just like that. So if I have this selected, and we can select some more, I guess. All I have to do is, if I hit Control J or Command J on Mac, I made a copy of it with that selection. So if I turn this off, I just have the flowers. All you have to do is move the flowers over the Smart Object mask. And there you go. See, so now the Smart Object is behind the flowers. And because you need the Smart Object on the top layer, this is not going to export correctly. You're going to get an error. So what you have to do is go ahead and make a duplicate of the Smart Object. So what this does is now you have two Smart Objects in your file, and this is okay because this is just a copy. You're going to do that, and you're just going to hide it. So as long as you just hide the top Smart Object, the Photoshop plugin is going to say, hey, let me edit this layer, which is the black thing. And because it's the same clone of the first one, they're both going to get edited. So whatever happens to this black square that's visible is going to be the same thing that's the black square that's invisible. And they're both going to get updated. So this is all you have to do. So same thing for the hair. So let me grab this mask and bring it to this mockup. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. Now hair is definitely more extensive. And with lifestyle, you definitely have to be careful and detailed. So let's make it kind of like that, right? Rotate it maybe a little bit to the left because she's kind of at an angle, I guess. And let's just hide that for now. And now let's grab the hair and do the same thing. Let's make a copy of the hair and pop it out. So let's grab quick selection tool and let's see how this goes. So I'm going to select the girl layer and copy that. Oh wow. And the magic selection pretty much selected most of it. And if we want to get the strands, now there's way better ways to do this. If you want to Google other YouTube videos to get detailed hair, but this is just a very quick way that I'm just going to show you how to do it. I'm selecting the polygon lasso tool, I'm sorry. And boom, I just selected a real rough sketch of her hair. Does not look pretty at all, but it's accurate. So again, Control J to get a copy of that. And so if we hide it, boom, that's her hair. So let's hide it. Let's move it up. And again, we could just always name your layers hair. And again, we're going to copy the mask and bring it up and make sure it's invisible, because that invisible part is the one that's going to get updated with the design. And then this part is the one that's going to be behind the hair, and it's going to be the same design. So this pink does not look good. So what I would probably do is just go ahead and just erase some of it. Maybe we don't even need that part, you know. Maybe it's too much detail. You don't need strands. You just need a big chunk of hair just to sell it, you know. Maybe you don't need strands. So let's try that and see if it works, you know. Let's just try it. And so because it's lifestyle, you can also add filters to this thing, right? It doesn't have to be at 100% opacity at normal. You can even make it more realistic. So how do you do that? On this mask layer, I can go ahead and hit this opacity on top and just reduce it to like 90%. You can even add effects to it, like multiply or screen, overlays. You can add effects to this thing and then it'll affect the mockup. So multiply, and let's try that. And now let's save it. So let's call this one, where is this? So save it in your mockups folder. You're gonna call it lifestyle woman shirt. Okay, And now we have all of our shirt mockups together. And yeah, let's save that. Oh, I forgot to save the pink one. That's why I love Photoshop for reminding me. So let's call this pink shirt. And now we exit all that out. So again, just to recap, what do we have? We have all of our mockups, our 4 shirts. We have all of our designs in our OBJ folder. And then let's delete these exports because we're just gonna get them again, right? So they're all gonna go to our export folder. So File, Scripts, Mockups. It's already saved for you. Edit, Smart Object, and Fit Image, and create mockups. And let's just watch the magic work. You can even go to your export folder like this while the plugin is running, and you could see the updates happening live. It's really cool. So it's saying it processed 11 mockups in a minute and a half. And how many mockups did we actually get? Here they all are. And you can see on the bottom left, it says 44 items. So it created 44 mockups in a minute and a half. That's pretty amazing. I used this Your Design Here, for example, just to show you that sometimes, you know, you can't have black on black, white on white, bright on bright, dark on dark. So yeah, you have the mockups here at your disposal. So all you have to do is just delete the ones that you don't want. So let's get rid of the black on black, or even the white on pink, like this one. You could barely see that. It's not going to sell. So you just get rid of it. And even on a design like this, the design didn't even come out. So yeah, it's probably because we hit multiply. I think we hit multiply, and what that does with white, it just makes it invisible on bright. So yeah, so nothing came out, so we just delete that, and you just go through your mockups individually to make sure you see what you got. So yeah, what did we have? We have our rotated design that we wanted, right? So it's rotated nice and well there. We have the hair in front of the design from the lifestyle image, and it's multiplied so it looks like it blends in. Like you see the little shadow here on the left, it blends into her shirt. So it's really nice. And then this design wasn't big enough for the flowers. Was there any design that was just huge? Oh, maybe this one. Yeah, the leaf is kind of behind the flower. But even if you had a design that was behind it, you already know this is a proven fact that it'll be behind. So that is how you do it. So that's one design on a shirt. But how do you make a grid like this, where it's a bunch of designs, and then you would want to swap out the designs maybe, because this is a popular style of advertisement right now. How do you swap out all the designs and you can just mass produce them? It's going to be the same exact concept. Let me show you how. In my mockups folder, I created 2 grid style types of images. This is one, and this is what it looks like. So to create this, you pretty much want to set up a perfect grid. Like I said, I already made one here, but all you have to do is go ahead and create your smart object. If you want to copy over the same thing from your last design, the same smart object, you can, or you could just make a new one. So again, I just use a shape tool and go ahead and make a perfect square like that. And then right click and create smart object. Convert to smart object. And then you label them. Let's say this is the main one, right? The big one. So what I have here, all these other files are actually what this is. And then this is the example that you can reference. So grab a reference, right? Take a screenshot of something that works for you. If this works for you, great. So go ahead and make that square the same shape as a reference. I'm commanding or controlling T to skew it and make sure it's the same size. So boom, that's one. So now what you're gonna do, again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, if you were to take the same smart object and just duplicate them, you are going to just duplicate the same design. How do you know? Because if I just turn this rectangle and make it, I don't know, bright purple and save it, now the smart object is now updated, so all of them are bright purple. You see? So this doesn't work. What you need to do is, if you go to your main, we're just going to delete those. What you have to do is create additional smart objects, a different one. So if I create another square, let's say up here, and make it that size, and right click and convert to smart objects, and let's just call that top left. That is your second smart object. So just because I know what's gonna happen next, I'm just gonna start naming them. This is gonna be obj0, and we're gonna need additional objects because it's scanning for different smart objects. So obj1, and again, we're just gonna copy this process. So create square, and just for the sake of time, let's just create all of the squares. So that's 2. This is 3, and this is gonna be 4. Let's convert all of them to smart objects first. Convert, right click, convert, right click, convert. Cool. Let's move my camera over here now. So again, if you just select them, you could see which ones you're selecting by hiding them. So this is going to be top middle. This is top right. This should be the middle right. And this should be the bottom right. Cool. So top left, I want to be obj1, good. I want this to be obj2. And naming them is just for my personal organization. I'm just gonna copy this. It's for my personal organization. It's not a, this doesn't change anything with the mockup script, if that's what you're wondering. This is just so you know for future, this is your template. This is just so you know exactly what to do next time. Okay, so what do we have? I named all of them. So we have our main one, we have our object 1, object 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 6 in total, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and instead of putting a design there, we're gonna put our completed mockups there. These that we finished exporting already, let's use these as the mockups, as quote unquote the designs that we're going to use for our grid. Grab the ones you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't know, 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy those. Just put them in your object folder, right? Boom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 should fit all 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So now let's save this. And again, this should be in your mockups folder. So let's save this. Exit out. Again, this is what it should look like. You should just have your smart objects that you want to edit only. If you have additional smart objects, things will break. So we have in our objects folder, we have our designs, which are mockups, but we're treating them as designs for this grid style. And then our mockups, which is going to be the Photoshop file we just worked on. And for the exports, let's just move these. So I like to just create an archive folder and just dump them in there for now. Skip. You should never just start deleting stuff, because if you forget it or whatever, you mess up, you can always just go to your archive and bring it back. So I just dumped in an archive folder. So yeah, mockups, objects. Now let's run the script. So scripts, mockups, edit smart object, fit image, everything else should be good. Create mockups. And what happens when you try to run this? You get this missing piece. So what happens, and what this is saying is that you're missing objects. Right now, the plugin is trying to pull from a smart object, and it's only pulling from one because we only have one OBJ folder and it's 0. So it's saying, hey, we need more OBJ folders for the correct designs. So let's go ahead and make more. So what you're gonna have to do is just copy and paste the OBJ, and then you rename it OBJ1. Same thing, copy, paste, OBJ2. And you just do this until you have 6. In our case, we have 6, but if you have less, if you have 2 or 3 or 4, you go ahead and make the appropriate amount of files that you need. 5, and then 6. So we have 0 through 6, and they all have the same exact designs. So let's just see what happens when we try to export the mockups again. So now you see the plugin is now working, it's going through. The mockup test is done, but we've made an error. So all of the images are the same in the grid, and this is not what we wanted, right? So how do we fix this? Well, I'm just gonna delete the exports because we can always export it again. So what happened was we only need one image per folder. So because we have all these images, we actually didn't need those. So I'm gonna get rid of all of them except the first, all of them except the second. Let's get rid of all of them except the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Alright, so now I deleted every design inside of the folder except for one. So let's see how well that one works. So yeah, as we can see in the Photoshop file now, the images are building inside of the grid one by one. Time has completed, 30 seconds in, and we have created our smart grid. So by accident, I created an extra one. I created 6, so 7 objects in total when we only needed 6. So definitely sorry about that. We don't even need this 6th one, so I'm just gonna delete that. But yeah, if we go to our exports, we see that we have our completed grid now. We have our completed grid, and we have the big main one, where if you simply wanted to change the big image, right, or if you wanted to change any of these designs, all you have to do is just go back into your objects and replace the design. So as we can see, object 5, I guess I labeled them in reverse. It seems like I labeled them in reverse. I'm not sure how that worked then, because I thought it exports from the top down, right? Yeah, I thought it exports from the top down, but it exported backwards in this case. So the big one is actually OBJ5. So you can go ahead and rename those in your Photoshop file to have it correct. But either way, if you wanted to change the design, you would go ahead and simply just remove your design up here and replace it. Just replace your design with whatever you want and then re-export it, and you have the grid. If you wanted to do additional grids or make a ton of them, you go ahead and make more grid mockups. So that would look like you would do grid mockup 6 image, whatever you want to name it. You want to do grid mockup number 2. And then you add more objects to them. So you add your second design in there, and that will, for each folder, you would do it again for each folder, and then that's how you mass produce them. If that wasn't enough for you, we're gonna go ahead and do our sticker designs. Same concept, except for this one, we're going to manipulate this so much that it shows one big image in the front and everything else is a pile. Very simple. Let's get into it. So this is what the end product is going to look like. It's very chaotic, but it's okay. This is all it is. It's one smart object on top, and I guess let me just hide everything just so you can grasp what's happening here. Hide everything. Okay, so we have our smart object as usual, right? So you just create that with your square. You hold shift and then you right click and make it to a smart object. So let me actually just do this from scratch, because I'm sure you guys are lost right now. Okay, so this is from my girlfriend's sticker shop, and so what she has is she has her little signature here on every mock-up just to make sure nobody steals, along with this grid. You can't really see it, but if I turn this on, if I turn on and off the grid, you kind of see it there. So that way people can't just steal from it so easy. They'll have to trick their way into taking it. So we have this little grid on. Okay, so let's rasterize the grid real fast. All we have to do is select it, and if we erase something, it's going to ask us, oh, are you sure? Do you want to rasterize it? Yes, that's how you remove the smart object, is rasterizing. So now we have our grid, we have our art. So let's start making this. So again, we take a rectangle, hold shift. Let's make our square nice and big here. And I'm going to move the grid towards the bottom so we can stop selecting, and lock it so we can stop selecting it. Let's align it just so. So yeah, it's at 100 opacity on normal. That's fine. This is going to be our smart object. So let's just name it sticker, I guess. Right click, convert to smart object. We now have our smart object. So if we just save this Photoshop file, we put it in our sticker pile mockups. So again, you go to your folders, save into your mockups folder, Photoshop file there. I already have it saved, so no need for me, but you guys save it there. All you have to do is just duplicate this and start rotating them. So first, let's duplicate one. And right now you don't see anything, but right now what I'm going to do is make them small. So here's one, and all you have to do is make them big enough so that they're visible, but make them small at the same time. So we're just going to rotate them like this, like that. So that's one, right? And it just looks like black on black from your point of view, but if you can imagine, this is going to be the sticker that's rotated. If you do want to save yourself some time, you can just replace, instead of this black square, you can just put the sticker itself, just so you could know where it is. But for me, I already know where it's going to be, so I'm just going to keep going. So I'm just going to duplicate this. If you hold Alt and click, you duplicate it. I'm going to do that and rotate it. So that's another one, maybe in the corner, and press OK. Let's just keep duplicating and rotate. Now it's looking to the left. Duplicate, rotated, transform. Now it's looking bottom left. Duplicate, rotate. Now it's looking down. Again, just keep going. Just fill up the screen. And what we should have done is the main sticker, we should name it so you don't get lost, because all these are just going to be stickers. So now it's all there. So let's move this layer up. And what we're going to do is we want this one to be more, I guess, designed and edited. So we're going to go ahead and add a drop shadow. So if you double click the layer, go ahead and just click on drop shadow, make it black, make sure the angle is facing 90 degrees. I don't know, there's some sweet numbers that you can do, just play with it, but let's do 20. Maybe the size is like 40, no spread, and the opacity is like 40. And so you can see the shadow, there's a shadow now. And now I also want to add a dark overlay to make it stand out. So I'm gonna just go ahead and create another one. Just follow along here. Let's make that opacity 40. Let's just call it overlay. I'm just gonna put that under the sticker. So as this is now, let's just try to go ahead and render these out just to see what it looks like. So let's save and then put our designs in the OBJ folder to see what happens. Okay, so I put my designs in the OBJ0 folder. Here it is. I have 3 designs in there, and then we have our one mockup sticker pile design. So let's go to Photoshop and go ahead and run the script. So File, Scripts, Mockups. And remember, you do have to close out all your other files in order for the script to work. So let's create. And there we go. In a few seconds, we have our sticker pile. So let's take a look. And there we go. We have our exported sticker pile in all 3 designs. And as usual, you can do this in an unlimited amount of designs and mockups as you need, as you see fit. So obviously get all your designs together so you can do this all at once. Now, specifically, what if you don't like your design? Like this is a little too cluttered. It's hard to see the main one, even though he is huge and he's there. Let's go ahead, and even the shadow right on the right, can you see it? The shadow's not even covering the edge. So how do you fix all this? Let's go ahead and go back in there and fix it. So let's go to sticker pile. The overlay, let's make that bigger so it's covering the entire canvas. So check that off. Next, maybe let's do more stickers. So if I just duplicate all of the ones we have and transform all of them, let's just rotate them a little bit and maybe make them bigger. Move them up like that, and then put them in the back. And I don't know, let's transform them again, and let's flip them. Let's flip horizontal and then flip vertical. Let's just see what happens, right? And on top of that, it felt a little cluttered, so let's add a blur. So maybe if we go to filter, blur, gallery, no, sorry, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we, I don't know, put it to 4. Can't really see it, but if you put this smart filter on top of all of them, right, I'm just holding Alt and just going ahead and dragging it. But if you should have done this filter before you copied it, so I'm sorry about that. But this is just an effect that you can do to go ahead and make all of them blurry. And I'm just looking at the little dots there to see if I got it all. Boom, okay. So let's just see if that worked. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and save that. And let's try to export the mockups again. So file, script, mockups. And there you go. So now we fixed the overlay. Now we added a blur effect, and we added so much more that it looks like a better pile. Right? So you can go ahead and rotate those squares, those smart objects. Go ahead and keep rotating them in the background if you want a different effect, because right now it's like all of the stickers are reaching for the middle. So do you have fun with it and play with it. But what about phone cases, right? This is the first design we're doing that's not in a square format, right? So how do you even go about doing this? So we have different mockups here where they're either holding it where their fingers are in the way, or stuff like this where it's like more of a close-up. First off, we're gonna go ahead and save all of these as Photoshop files. So all these images as Photoshop files. Save them in your mockups folder here. Now let's also get our designs, right? So we have all 3 of these designs here. A cool panda, dragon, and a wolf. And we're gonna place those designs on these phone cases. So we have different things going on in each of these mockups. So this mockup was purchased. I bought this on Etsy, and I went ahead and added my design here because this is what they do. They have you do this manually. But why this is not going to work is because they have your design where if you double click, it's a smart object. That's great. But now you have 2 smart objects. So you have 1 and then 2, which is like this phone mask thing. So all I'm gonna do is, for whatever reason, this phone object thing is a smart object. So I'm just going to go ahead and rasterize it. So I click it. I just press the eraser tool with E, and I just click as if I was going to erase it and just press OK, and it removes the smart object. I'm sure there's a better way to do that, but that's how I do it. Anyway, so now there's only 1 smart object on the field. So this is a design. I don't know how it operates if you already have a design in there, but you know, just for the sake of consistency and just keep it easy, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this black color. And let's erase the other thing. Let's get rid of the design and save it. So now this phone is already this nice solid color for our designs to go ahead and replace. This size of this, if we go to image and canvas size, it's 1080 by 1920. So it's a rectangle for you. So how it's made is the same way. If you take your rectangle tool and you just left click without dragging, you could change the size of the rectangle 1080 by 1920. Hit OK. You can go ahead and transform it. If you hold Shift and Alt at the same time, you can cover it. You could scale it down proportionally. So you proportion it, press OK, transform it again, and then rotate it just like that. Cool. Yep. And then that's where your design is gonna go, but obviously it doesn't look real enough. So what you have to do is you can go ahead and select the phone precisely. So somebody went in and did this and sold this on Etsy, but you can go ahead and select your phone. And matter of fact, let me see if the shortcut works, because you can often go to select subject. So if I select this background, select subject, and it might select the phone for us. And it did not. It selected the phone, but it's also selected the hand. So we can utilize this though. So if we do this, we can go ahead and maybe the polygonal tool, since this is so accurate, we can include this part. So go ahead and include this. Hold Control and left click to finalize the selection. I'm going to subtract this part of the hand. So maybe something like this. Yeah. So if I do that, press Control to end it, and then also deselect this part of the hand. Yeah, something like this. And then just select around the phone. Yeah, around the hand, just to deselect all of that. So now I got the left part of the phone down. Now let's get the fingers. First, zoom all the way in. I'm just holding Alt and scrolling to zoom in like this. If I hold Alt and click, I deselect the fingers. So here we go. Okay, now the fingers are deselected, and now let's include this white part. So hold Shift to add the little plus, and let's include the edge of the phone case, because I don't know why that got missed. There you go. And now the whole phone is selected. So all you have to do is the same thing with the hair that we did in the earlier part of the video. You Control J to make a copy of it. And so if I just hide everything, you'll see the copy of this phone here. Oh, we included a finger by accident. So let's just delete that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select this and select all around it and just press delete. And now it's gone. So now we have this phone selected, and it's not a smart object or anything. We can go ahead and delete these. All right, let's call this mask, and let's call this phone, just to stay organized, because it is just one template, so you always want to remember what you're looking at. First off, we need to make it into a smart object as usual. Right click this, because right now it's a shape. So right now you click this, convert to smart object. Now it is. Right click and create clipping mask on the bottom. And now you masked it to the phone, but we forgot the camera. That is what we forgot. We forgot the camera. So what we can do is, since it's kind of, I guess it's not too late, but we can take it back if we want to. What we could do is also just make a mask here. So what this does is made a mask on a layer, on the smart object layer. To make sure to exclude this, we're going to go ahead and select this part of the camera so we can see it. So I just hid the smart object, and we're going to just pencil around the camera. And we forgot the top here. Okay, so yeah, so now we have the camera penciled out. And what we can do is, if you press B to bring up the paintbrush tool, your whites and blacks on the left here either reveal or conceal. So you can go ahead and press B for the brush to kind of knock it out like that. And if you press X, you switch between the two. So you could use the other one to bring it back if you wanted to, but yeah, we're gonna just keep it knocked out like that. So now that that's there, we have our smart object, we have our mask. This all looks good, at least from a rough point of view. You want this to look as realistic as possible, but let's create an inner shadow. Just so, because our fingers are holding it, so that's gonna make it or help it to look real. So let's do an inner shadow. Boom. Inner shadow 40% ish, 20% there. It's going up, not using global light, and we should be good. Let's remove the inner glow. Yeah. Okay, so now we have an inner shadow. Can't really see it yet, and don't worry about it because now we have our first mock-up. So this is one phone case mock-up, and you would just apply the same logic to all of your other ones. So for the sake of time, I already showed you this one, so let's go ahead and export that. So once again, I have my designs here. I had all of the mock-ups here, but let's just remove these for the sake of time. And so we have our one pretty hand mock-up with the designs. Let's go ahead and export. File, scripts, mockups, edit, fit image, create. And there we go. It just exported all three our designs onto the phone case. So now something happened here where it wasn't rotated properly. So maybe this would be selected to rotate to fit, or something else happened where we still just need to rotate it properly. So again, just utilizing the same concepts, you would go ahead and just fix it. Just rotate it in your Photoshop files to make it correct. That is how you utilize this Photoshop plugin. Here are some of the most common mistakes I've run into. Number one is not having the OBJ folders set up for success. Sometimes you have multiple smart objects and you just need to add OBJ folders, and it'll tell you that in the specific error that's saying, hey, this OBJ1 is missing, OBJ2 is missing. So you just have to add more OBJ folders with your designs in them. And just mess around with, do you need the same designs in there or do you need different designs, and that'll fix that problem. Another problem that a lot of other people might run across if you're not paying for the most updated edition of Photoshop is not having the Photoshop up to date. This plugin won't work if you don't have a updated version of Photoshop. A typical problem that you might come across is the script not working, but you just have to remember to put your smart object all the way on the top. You can edit it with filters and shadows and all this stuff, but you mainly want to put it on the top layer. And if you can't have the one that you want on the top layer, just remember you can duplicate it with Control J and make it invisible, and that'll fix your problem, because then the plugin will register that smart object to edit with your design. Another common issue is storage space. So these files do take up a lot of memory, or they do take up a lot of storage for you. So I exported this. It's a JPEG file, thankfully, and it's 365 kilobytes. But if you're exporting thousands of images at a time, that's going to take up gigabytes on your PC. So definitely use an external hard drive if you're trying to mass produce, or just do them very slowly. Update them to a cloud storage, get rid of them from your computer, and then just keep going. So again, I'm providing you this information and plugin tactics that I'm using absolutely for free. It would be a great trade-off if you guys subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps, and hey, if you are struggling with this, if this is not making sense, comment down below and ask your questions. I'm replying to every comment. Let's help each other together to make sure we can achieve great success with these mockups, because this is so cool. This is so time efficient, and I'm happy to help you guys. Just comment below with your questions and I'm happy to answer it. I can try to do additional videos to go ahead and make these mockups for you and see where I went wrong or where you went wrong, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys got in the comments below.